Wingman Joker, thank you for listening to this channel and please support the channel. Please subscribe. Chapter 08. To the assessment. After finishing his breakfast under the hateful glare of Logan's wife, who for some reason was very edgy, Adrian took a bag of stationery supplies and directly left the house. Crystal, who left for school very early and didn't meet him, must have told her mother about what happened the previous day, and her mother must have told Logan, who in turn told her to shut the fuck up. Adrian could easily imagine what might have happened from the way that woman was avoiding looking at her husband and directing her hate glares at him. Adrian sighed. If they were in one of the worlds his souls were in, Agatha would have ended up dead, or worse, tied up on his bed with her daughter. Shit, what was he thinking? Adrian quickly shook his head, deciding not to think about absurd things like that as he followed the familiar route that he took to his part-time job every day. It took him 25 minutes to finally reach where he usually worked, the Red Oak Grand. One of the biggest and most luxurious hotels in Lumar City. And, if Adrian remembered correctly, it was also one of the first businesses his father established when he was appointed to this city as the Grand Magician 15 years ago. Adrian, why are you here this early? Why didn't you come to your shift last night? Do you know the trouble we had to go through to find someone else to fill in for you? Someone asked harshly as soon as Adrian entered the hotel lobby. It was a skinny young man with a clean-shaven face and carefully combed hair that perfectly integrated with his formal suit to give the image of a bootlicker. Professional butler. His name was Dixon, the lobby manager of the hotel. And this guy happened to really dislike Adrian, who about a year ago caught him harassing a female employee and reported it to our. Dixon avoided getting fired by paying the female employee a lot of money to keep her silent, but ever since then, he had it for Adrian, making sure to nitpick on everything he did, searching for mistakes. I am taking a few days off. Logan should have told you, Adrian shrugged, ignoring the man as he headed to the reception desk. How dare you ignore me? The man yelled, but noticing that a few of the hotel guests turned to look at him with a frown, he quickly lowered his voice, bowed as an apology, and then followed Adrian, who reached the receptionist desk and rang the bell, causing the pretty receptionist girl to turn and notice him, then frown. Hi Zizi, he said. I thought I told you to stop bothering me. I don't date nulls, she interrupted directly, noticing that he was not in his usual work suit. She thought he was going to ask her on a date. It is not about that. I already know my place, Adrian said coldly. No one expert for Logan knew his real identity. There should be a room reserved for me. Logan arranged it, he told her directly. What? Why? She asked, noticing the manager who was standing behind Adrian frowned too. I need to prepare for a test. What test? Dixon asked from the side. Not your fucking business. I am a client now, so you should treat me as such. He said coldly. He couldn't reveal his real identity. You little. Dixon silently began to curse. He didn't want to make trouble here, but how dare this idiot talk back to him. Did you find his reservation? Adrian ignored the man and asked Zizi, who quickly flipped through the reservations book. Yes, there is a reservation in your name for 1 week. Room 1303, Zizi finally said, noticing that the reservation was made this morning. Would you be able to afford that room? Dixon asked. Room 1303, although not the best here, was on the last floor, right next to the presidential suite. It was usually left empty in case the VIPs who stayed in the presidential suite had some entourage they didn't want to stay with them. This is an arrangement between me and Logan, Adrian said. You call him by his first name? Zizi asked with a frown. He should call him Master Burntwood like everyone else. Does this concern you? Adrian asked coldly. It was Logan's honor to be called by his first name by him. No, she said. Just take care not to mess up the room. She spat, throwing the key at him. This action was very rude, but the lobby manager, Dixon, who kept his eyes on Adrian, didn't rebuke her. Make sure to note that my meals should be delivered to my room without disturbing me. Adrian, who grabbed the key, turned and left without saying anything else. Ignoring everything, he quickly took the elevator and headed up, reaching the specified room. Unlocking the door and walking in, he sighed as he looked around. This place was going to be his lab for the next week. 1 week passed in the blink of an eye. During this period, Adrian skipped school and was stuck inside the hotel room having all his meals delivered to him. Not only did he finish his magnum opus modification of the zero circuit that he planned to present to the family, but also managed to fix his first and second circles. making sure that he would be recognized as a magician just in case those idiots in the family planned to use some obscure rule against him. He wanted to reach the third, but sadly, his assessment was scheduled one day earlier than he anticipated, so he barely managed to finish in time. Also, rebuilding his magical circuits took more time than he initially anticipated due to the low-quality magical threads his body originally had. Still, the results of his work were impressive. He not only managed to use the enhanced version for his zero magical circuit, but to also build rudimentary first and second degree ones that would be modified and updated later. So, on the day of the family assessment, Adrian finally opened the room's door and stepped out, dressed in a simple suit that Logan prepared for him. He looked both dashing and imposing. No, not really imposing, he was too short for that. Anyway, if anyone who knew his father saw him, he would recognize him at once, as he made sure to do his hair in the same stupid ponytail style his father featured. "Oh, Adrian, I heard you were preparing for an exam of some sort. Is today the big day?" One of the hotel cleaning staff who noticed him immediately asked as she checked him up. She was a kind middle-aged aunt. Arian worked here for the last 3 years, so all the staff knew him. He was the most handsome guy in the hotel after all and had a very amiable and approachable personality. "Yes, Auntie, wish me good luck," Adrian replied politely, then quickly left with a folder under his arm. "Good luck then," the aunt said as she watched him leave. "Too bad my daughter didn't approve of dating him. That stupid lass only had eyes for magicians. Like any of those guys would spare a glance at a null like her," she sighed, shaking her head as she entered the room, then paused. "What the fuck?" she yelled. The entire room was a mess with all kinds of charcoal and chalk marks on the walls, the leftovers of magical circuits that had been drawn and erased repeatedly. Thankfully, Adrian had already left by the time she noticed that. Ellipsis. It was still early in the morning and there were not a lot of people in the hotel's lobby when Adrian stepped there. He didn't really want to face many people at the moment. "Adrian," someone called. It was Logan who hurried to his side. "Good morning. Good morning, Uncle Logan," Adrian greeted politely. "Are you ready?" Logan asked. "I am, prepared to be surprised," he said with a smile. "What, did you manage to do it?" Logan asked, taken back a little. Adrian nodded. "What degree?" "Second," Adrian whispered. Good, good, congratulations." Logan smiled. He was genuinely glad for Adrian. And for himself too. If Adrian would pass the test, he was going to be rewarded handsomely. "I bet your father would be very pleased." "Hopefully," Adrian nodded. "You better hurry up then, you don't want to be late," Logan said. "I called a car for you, said hi to your father for me, and no matter what happens, you are always welcome to come back to my house," he said, not noticing the lobby manager who spotted Adrian but didn't dare to make trouble with Logan there. "I know, Uncle, I will never forget your favors." Adrian nodded, then walked out, quickly finding the car, without any trouble. In this world, cars existed too. They just worked using mana engines that ran using mana stones to activate magical circuits that were engraved on the engine. They ran very quietly, more like an electrical car than ones that ran on fuel. As soon as Adrian climbed into the car, the driver, who seemingly already knew the destination, quickly started the car and drove there silently. Not exactly, just when they got stuck on the first red light the driver began to jabber. "So, you are going to the magical tower, lad?" he asked. "Yes. Intend to get tested to get your magic license. You got your second magical circuit already?" the driver asked. Once someone managed to finish his second magical circuit, he would be considered a magician, belonging to the special class of people who truly ruled this world. Magicians, despite being a minority, not only enjoyed many privileges and rights over the nulls, but they even had their own salary and immediate employment from many companies of the world who would race to hire them. Traditionally, each time a magician finished a circuit, he could go apply for a test in the magical tower to get a license that indicates his rank. The higher the rank, the higher the privileges. Magicians who ruled this world were treated completely differently from nulls. Many rules that others had to abide by, magicians could safely ignore. This ranged from not abiding by curfews to a degree where a 7th-ranked magician could casually kill a null and only file a report on the reasons as a punishment. He has to have a legit reason, like the poor guy stepping on his shoe. Anyway, in this world, magicians were the rulers whom everyone wanted to be associated with. "Yes, wish me luck," Adrian decided to keep it simple as he replied to the driver. His assessment seemed to have been scheduled today despite it not being his birthday for a simple reason. It was the day of the yearly magical assessment in the city, and as some of the elders would be here in the tower to hunt for good seedlings among those who came to test, it was decided to conduct Adrian's assessment one day earlier. It wouldn't make a difference anyway, that's what they thought. Good luck then. The driver didn't intend to stop talking. You know, my son almost finished his third circle. He will also be having his mastery exam in 6 months. The kid is very excited, he just can't stop talking about his plans after he gets his master's license. I wonder where he got that habit from, Adrian replied. The driver ignored him. He is one of the top in his class, and he plans to enter Chestnut and work there. Chestnut? Adrian asked with a frown. Although he had been so separated from the magical world in the past few years and had no idea what was going on, he knew that name. Wasn't that the name of the company his father created for him when he was a kid to manage his patients? It is a company name, the driver, who didn't notice Adrian's startled expression, said. It is an upstart here in this city. They invented a new kind of very efficient magical engine that has become all the rage recently. Their stuff is 3 times stronger than everyone else's, as they use some strange engraving technique on nickel alloys. Oh, Adrian opened his eyes wide. He remembered designing such a thing, but it was just before his accident, so he had no idea they managed to build it. I see, he added with a smile. It seemed like his father was taking care of his properties for him. It was time to go get those back.